So when I think of Veterans Day, I think of that little slogan that says, land of the free because of the brave. And so I think about all of our brave men and women who have served, who have sacrificed for the defense of our nation.
Served in the United States Army, multiple components, both in the regular Army and with the Army National Guard. Well, I think like a lot of young men and women at that time and at that age, you get enamored with the possibilities of something bigger than yourself, being a part of the collective. That coupled with I needed some money for college. Joining the military served both of those purposes.
I was in the Navy for 10 years. The reason I joined was just to get the fire in my belly to go back to school and actually achieve something.
I served in the United States Navy. I joined to get some life experience before I figured out what to do with my future.
Well, at the time I joined, I was actually going to the University of Puerto Rico, and I happened to be in San Juan, Puerto Rico at the post office, and I saw this poster of a girl in the Army, and it said, travel the world. And I was so intrigued by that poster that I told my mother, I want to join the military. And it was the lure of adventure and travel. But my mother told me, you have to finish your first year of college, and then I'll consider it.
And the most impactful point was when we evacuated South Vietnam in April of 1975. I can remember that we had just pulled into the Philippines, and I'd gone up to the enlisted club, was having a beer, and then the shore patrol showed up and said, all leaves and liberty has been canceled. Please report back to your command. I went back to the ship, and they said, they didn't say anything at the time, but I did notice that there was a flotilla of ships that were in Subic Bay in the Philippines, and they were all pulling out and heading off to sea. So once we got at sea, the captain came on and he said, we are going down to the territorial waters of South Vietnam, and we are going to evacuate as many people as we can as soon as we're given the word.
The most impactful thing was probably getting to visit so many different countries and getting to experience all the different cultures firsthand.
There was multiple things that impacted me. The people I met from all over the U.S., that was really impactful because we had to live in close quarters with them. And when you think about it, I remember having a roommate from Kentucky and from other parts of the country. And then the other thing that was very impactful to me was the fact that I had a lot of opportunities within the military. They provide all of opportunity for you to continue to pursue college, they had all kinds of trainings. I trained in photography and how to develop pictures. And I also volunteered for a marksmanship team and got to compete in Third Army with a women's group and won that competition as the top lady shooter. So I would have never imagined I could do those things. And had it not been for the Army, I feel that sometimes you don't realize there's things you can do. All you have to do is try them out.
Well, I got to do a lot of exciting things. Got to jump out of airplanes, fly a lot of helicopters. But I think the most rewarding of all of that was having an opportunity to command at multiple levels. And with that, you had the opportunity every day to lead people. Being able to be a part of the planning, the preparation, the execution of our daily requirements, of our missions, providing motivation and direction, leading people certainly was the most rewarding.
The transition for me was like stepping into a new culture. First of all, because that was the first time I lived in the U.S. As an adult. I had lived in the U.S. when I was very little. I primarily grew up in a Latin culture in Puerto Rico. So I moved to Oregon when I left the military. I was stationed in Georgia at the time because my brother and sister were studying here. And the plan was to finish college. I had 2 more years to do, and I did a degree in business because back then they didn't even have computer science degrees. But what I can say is that I really owe my career to the military because it was in the military that I trained for computer programming. That's what it was called back then. And that when I finished college, I pursued a career in computers by way of, my first job was a computer programmer, but I ended up doing all the different roles, studying for my PMP. And, by the time I started my company, I had good footing. I had a lot of experience. I had worked for, as a consultant half of my career, and also as an employee in a few places.
It was a bit of a culture shock getting used to my new normal. The military surrounds you with a feeling of community that can't really be described, and it was challenging to get used to not having that anymore.
It was a bit of a struggle at first because the military gives authority at a very low level of rank, and they teach people how to become leaders. When you join a civilian organization, a lot of times it's like, well, that's way above your pay grade. You just stay down here. And it's not in a military person's nature to do that typically. So it took me some time and a good dose of patience to be able to survive the transition.
Well, that transition is always difficult. Obviously, first and foremost, you got to decide as a retiree if you want to do something, and then figure out what it is you want to do. You always look for a place that's going to have the right culture, something that allows you to continue to have that purpose-driven livelihood in how you live and what you do for your career, always in keeping in mind kind of that purpose-driven mentality.
One of the other big things I took away from my military experience was the importance of collaboration. The military does everything through teams. It's the reason they drill. It's the reason they train, so that when the time comes, whether it be an emergency or just standard application of your job description, you are going to do the right things in the right order with a minimum amount of supervision. It's probably more important now in the civilian world to be collaborative. It used to be, who could shine the brightest within a department. Now it's how bright can the department shine within the organization.
Every role I held instilled the importance of attention to detail, and working in finance with ELYON, attention to detail and accuracy is a must.
Military folks really need to be able to adapt because when you sign up, you don't know what's up and you don't know where they're going to send you. And to a degree, you also realize that to even join the military, you have to have a bit of courage in the sense as you never know your outcome. So I think those types of traits and qualities have helped me during my career, and specifically also in doing and starting a business. Yes, government has been part of our business since pretty much the inception of the company. So we've been doing government work for over 20 years. We've worked at the federal level, at the state level, and with local cities, Portland and Vancouver, Washington. And we've had a variety of work that we've performed. For example, at the Department of Energy, we did a lot of IT work in just about every area of IT. And we had a 10-year contract with some of the other agencies we work with, for instance, geospatial work with the Bureau of Land Management. We also have contracts in the Midwest where our employees are doing professional administrative type of support work for NRCS for the Department of Agriculture. And we've also had subject matter expertise type of work for national parks, where one of our professionals writes plans, fire plans for national parks, and we're also doing geospatial work in that area as well.
Well, I obviously bring forth a lot of experience and knowledge, certifications, clearances, all that is kind of you bring all of that along with both old relationships, your ability to forge new, and you focus on solving problems and bringing solutions. With that experience, with that knowledge, I'm certainly focused on bringing or widening the ELYON service solutions within the Department of Defense, focused on what we can do to support their installation and mission critical services, focused on mission assurance and how we can bring our IT or information technology solutions and our professional service solutions to help fill the gaps in both their installation and mission critical activities. You can go to any air base, any post, any joint base, any NASA research center. You're going to find those mission critical actions that must be accounted for, must be filled. And I think that's where I can help forge the gap and bring those ELYON solutions to those needs. And I think we're well positioned to bring solutions to those problem sets.
We have worked with the federal government for over 20 years, and we have longstanding contracts right now, and we continue to add new contracts, and we have great past performance, and really, it's really always based on your past performance. So that is like the open door to getting more federal contracts. In terms of the military space, we recently brought on a retired colonel. He spent 25 years in the Army. He's a West Point graduate, and he is leading the effort to expand our business into the military and defense area.